Hey everybody, I guess we are having a live show, and again, as soon as we go live, somebody decides to call. It's funny how that works. Anyway, AI has got its eye on you. This is The Remedy. I am your host, Tony-Pantalleresco, and we are listening to The Remedy. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com. Then click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, solve some issues, brainstorm, kick up some ideas. You never know where it might take you. And you never know what you might fix. Again, I have these days, right, where we get inundated with all kinds of data and flow and whatever. And I want to touch on today about the human genome aspect of the assault going on our bodies. I put a bunch of links in the chat room. They're already there. And each one of them will kind of talk about, you know, different facets and of different venues that are being done right now. Not something in the far future. You know, they got us brainwashed that things are coming in the future. Far future. Far future. It's coming. All these things are coming. And you got to ask this question. How do we know what's coming? How far in the future are we talking? What future? Is there going to be one? You know, somebody was in the chat room, and we had a little bit of time today in the chat room, and people were discussing things, and talk about the measles thing. The measles thing is another sensationalization that's going on to get those who are asleep that believe in the Matrix, because you got to be asleep to believe it. Is to give them some kind of anxiety, duress, distraction, some kind of disinformation to keep them going in the path they're going in. You got to remember, everybody's being herded. And those who have woken up to the idea that you're being herded are saying, you know what, Chuck U. Farley, I'm not going. I'm going the other way. We call that a wake-up call. And those who are waking up are saying, we have had enough of this horse hockey. And we are seeing the same patterns over and over and over, repeatedly over and over again. And it seems like this generation has come to a conclusion that this has been nothing but a charade, a game, again, a deception, a hologram, a stage. And the performers and the actors are those who are not of this realm, this dimension, this life. It's as if we've had strange beings from another planet with abilities far above mortal men. It's an old Superman saying. And that's what it does appear. And it does appear that we are in a stage. And every 20 years, that stage repeats the show, except with a more darker tone, or more of a distracted tone, or more of entertainment and distraction, seduction. So anyway, when they start talking to us about how great and wonderful this technology is going to be for us, how great and wonderful we're going to have these new things that's going to help us live longer, help us have a better drug delivery. Why do I need a better drug delivery system? I don't need a better drug delivery system. I need to maintain a better health profile. I don't need a vaccine to do this. But if you're asleep, you will believe whatever BS they tell you. Oh, you got a measles outbreak. We never had such a measles outbreak before. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, it's a drama. It's a disaster. Measles are part of our immune system activation. But what I'm seeing out there is not measles. What I'm seeing out there is an actual nano assault being activated shortly after birth. A lot of these children are already saturated with high doses of nanotechnology and nanobiology in their genetic code already at that stage. All it takes is a frequency to turn that on. One guy was saying, oh, this was some kind of CGI stuff that they were doing. That's not CGI. The guy was wrong. Again, we have to start thinking in today's times. What we're dealing with in today's times. The nanogenetic bio warfare that they are creating to, again, inflict, affect, infect, and integrate with us. They got to make the bandwidth bigger so you can be targeted easier. It's not about accessing AI, it's about AI accessing you. See, it's a play on words. Just like when I talked to a friend of mine, she says, when you go to court, don't ever answer, do you understand? You say, no, I will not stand under. Again, it's a play on words. You agree that you understand, it means you're standing under the court. You want to be equal with the court. So when you go in there, you have the perfect representation. You're at par with the court. But they don't tell you this. They play these word games. See, the way it is right now, everybody's system has to be torn down. Because the wording and the language that the law states and the way people talk today are in complete contrary and contradiction to each other. So when you go into a court of law and you start using certain terminologies that you would use out in the street, that does not register in a court. You're speaking another language. So when we're talking in terms of today's genetic engineered biostructured nano constructs that you are dealing with, you are going to be in a world of hurt. This is a very painful taking over of your genetic code. You will feel pains in all parts of your body. You will have hard times seeing things. You will have hard times focusing your mind. You will have hard times having any kind of mobility. You'll wake up stiff as a board from being microwaved. You'll be hearing all kinds of nonsense going into your head because of the microwave frequencies targeting you. You will be hit with voices to skull technology telling you to quit. You can't win. It's just pointless. Give it up. Just lay there and quit. Because the moment you lay there and quit, you now become subjected to their takeover. You're agreeing that you are surrendering. And as long as you are fighting, they can't take you over. Way it goes. Way it goes. Whenever you're being assaulted in your head, you have the voice, the skull, voice, God's voice in your head, voice of God in your head, the C4-2 or whatever it's called that DARPA has. Anything that's going into your head, you're a believer, and you believe in the living God. Then tell that voice in your head that when Jesus comes back, and we come back with him, there will be a veracity and a vengeance acted upon you to such you have never seen, and we will hunt you down to the far corners of this planet to enact the full force of that vengeance. That's what you need to say. That's how you take the authority. Okay, if you're a believer. A lot of you believers are in fear and intimidation. The Bible says that when you become a believer, all things have passed away, all things are new. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Time to pull up your socks, chew your bubblegum, and kick butt and be out of bubblegum. You gotta have that stand and that fortitude in your mind, in your spirit, in your heart. Okay. Some of you are going to say, well, you know, it seems like it's too much. I recall another verse in the Bible that says if you got faith of a mustard seed, you can tell a mountain to go jump in the river, go into the ocean, go into the sea. So start standing on those things. If you're not a believer, it might not hurt to maybe take a look at it. Point I'm trying to get here is you got to have that frame of mind when you are being assaulted in your head to lay down and surrender. You are saying no, and you're saying why you're saying no. I used to say, you know what, when I go, I'm taking you with me. We both have an appointed time with our Maker. Now I'm to a point where I'm so freaking mad and so pissing hot that I'm saying when Christ comes back, I am coming with him. And I am going to have my measure of vengeance that day with you. You better say that's how you take the bull by the horn. We shouldn't be bowing in fear. They should be bowing in fear of us. That's how it should be. If the King of Kings has defeated death, and if the King of Kings has left his throne to come down here to save our backsides, then we have more than we need. We just got to use our head. Have that in your heart. Have that in your spirit. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's what works for me. That's what gets me through another day. You know, me and Brian are always talking. I always say it's divine nature. Divine is giving us what we get. It's divine presence that's keeping us alive. And these guys are not going to quit, and they're just going to be as unyielding as they can be. You do the same. You do the same. Our Prime Minister in Canada came right out and called Christianity the biggest pain in the ass in Canada. I had to laugh at that one. Because we won't bow down to a government that easy. We will subject ourselves to prayer and pray for the government. But as far as us just going along, because that's what the government wants you to do, even if it's wrong, a lot of Christians say, no, not happening. Not going to go with the flow. We're not going to get chipped. No, we're not getting our kids vaccinated. No, we have our faith. Now, mind you, they basically snub Christians because they think Christians are just going to be an easy Passover. You know, the Bible says turn the other cheek, and they figure they can turn, you know, can get Christians to turn the other cheek. When I read that verse, I never see where Jesus said, whose cheek? Maybe it's a misinterpretation. I don't know. But I have this notion that, again, if it's for your faith, okay, you take whatever you take. But if it's against, again, just because you're targeted as a believer and they want you to violate God's creation, then I think you need to take a stand. You got to think in these terms. Under our watch, I'm talking about the planet, under our watch, this planet is dying. It's dying because of NASA. It's dying because of Soros. It's dying because of the banks. It's dying because of the pharmaceutical industry. It's dying because of the genetically engineering industry. It's dying because of what they're doing to it through geoengineering above. I don't like the idea that it's dying under my watch. Kind of pisses me off sometimes. Well, most of the time. So my point in all of this, really, is have the mind to take a stand. Some of you say, well, I got all these thoughts going in my head. I got these musical thoughts. I got these television thoughts. I got these hate thoughts. I got these violent thoughts. Okay, well, we all have that. You know, we all get that. We all get popped. We got memories inside where we've been in pain. They're going to pull that up. At that point, something else you can say. See, I used to get this all the time. They used to stimulate an anger thing in me, you know. And before I knew it, I was caught up in this battle in my mind. And one day I got really fed up. I said, you know what? All you're going to do is make me stronger and stronger. Flip it around. Don't be intimidated. Just say, it's okay. You're just going to make me stronger and stronger. You better have that mentality. You better have that determination. You better have that spirit inside. So, yeah, I mean, we are going to have... God never promised us a rose garden. And even with roses, there are thorns. And God never promised that we would never get hurt or unscathed. He just said that He would see us through it. So, here we are, going through it. That's my point. And that's the point I'm trying to get across. They are trying to subject us to all kinds of crazy, insane things. Okay, let me give you an example. Washington is going to be the first state to allow human composting. Imagine that. You died, and they threw your butt in the ground, they mulched you up, chopped you up, threw you in the ground so that you could stink, rot, and whatever, and replenish the earth. So that means, quite possibly, by them passing this legislation, there may be a war coming on the planet. There isn't going to be enough space to bury all the dead bodies. So they're just going to throw you in the ground and let you rot. That's a concept. Just so that, you know, get an idea. I'm just trying to get you to think. Why would they be passing this kind of legislation? What are they planning in the event coming, the event rising? That now we're dealing with legalities about dead people. We're going to turn them into human compost. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that something else? Again, these are some of the things that I'm trying to get you to look at, get you to perspective. You know, see, when you see these kind of things happening in the legislations, you got to ask yourself the question: where, why are they putting these laws out there? What's coming down the pipe that we have to now legislate this kind of activity? You know, what kind of war are they seeing? Think about that. Usually, if you've got that many dead bodies going on, that means there's a war of some huge magnitude that has basically slaughtered the countryside. So when we're looking at, you know, some of these things, that's what they think about people. Another thing, got music here, so we'll come on back. We'll further get into it. See you in a bit. Hey, I think we're back. We're back in the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. I am your host, Tony-pantalleresco. Tony, have you heard of auction time-release capsules to detox the colon? They're probably using a magnesium peroxide. That was out a long time ago. Not sure if it's still being sold. I wasn't even sure they were still selling it anymore. If it's a magnesium peroxide, you can do the same thing with Epsom salt, high doses of magnesium citrate, magnesium malate, magnesium oxide, would have the same similar effect. Basically, it's the magnesium with the peroxide, the oxygenation of the colon. Whether that's going to do anything really or not, it may kill off certain pathologies in the colon, wipe it out, but it may also take out some of the healthy bacteria. You got to remember something. A lot of these products that you guys are reading today is about 20 years outdated. And as I keep reminding everybody, we are in the days of nanogenetic, synthetic, CRISPR, geoengineering, assault. So when you're looking at the things you're taking today, for whatever reason you're taking them, you better be able to correlate the environment you're in. Because that environment you're in is going to determine what you really need to be taking. Colon cleanses are great and wonderful. The cheapest one you use is Epsom salt. If you want to use a colon cleanse, that's probably the cheapest to use. Inexpensive, very effective, will clean out the colon, remove heavy metals, will remove parasites, may remove some viruses and some bacteria. What about ozone rectally? Heard is very good. Any ideas? Again, think in terms of what I just got done saying. Oxygen or ozone can burn tissue. Why anybody would want to stick that up their backside is beyond me. You can, I suppose, but for what? Why don't you guys just use something simple like the sodium thiosulfate or the Epsom salt? Why do you feel you need to go and spend money on these gimmicks? You know what I mean? Don't get caught up on the gimmickry. And go start doing some research on negative effects of ozone, negative effects of peroxide therapies. You need to look at both sides of this. Don't just jump in because it's all great and wonderful and it's got this super duper colored crayon image and it's got this and it's going to do that and it's going to put a red S on your chest, blue underwear, leap tall buildings, bullets are going to bounce off you, have x-ray vision faster than a speeding bullet. That's the sales pitch. That's the distraction. Start doing your homework. Start doing your homework. Don't believe nothing in this industry. Don't believe a damn thing in this industry. It's only about 5% of it that's has any actual real merit or benefit today. And the majority of the stuff that you're buying is contaminated today as well. That's why I'm saying to you, don't get sucked into this industry. Well, okay, hear what you're saying there. Heard it's the best for colloidal silver too. What colloidal silver are you talking about? Because all the ones in the health food industry today are all nano. If you shove that up your backside, you're going to poison your anus. That's simple. See, you need to, like I said, instead of getting caught up on the hype, which you're doing, you need to get caught up on what's the reality of today's times. Just because you read something as, oh yeah, blah, 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 How does that silver affect what you do, what you're exposed to today? Is that silver a real colloidal silver, or is it a nano silver that they're calling colloidal? There's 3 of them in the market today, and they're all nano. You know. So again, what you shove up your backside is your affair. What it does to your backside, you'll be responsible for. That's simple. Okay, I was talking before the break about using human as compost. I like what this guy says. I heard. Really? You know what I heard? I heard there's Canadian cheese on the moon that's being harvested by Martians and sold to Uranus. That's what I heard. Just so you know, this is what I've been hearing. So, doesn't mean it's right or factual. Again, do your homework. Do your homework. When you listen to these guys on the internet and when you listen to these people in this industry, as I just got done telling you, don't believe none of them. 0. Don't even believe me. 0. Listen to what I got to tell you, and then go look it up. That simple. Don't be anybody's mark. Don't be anybody's mark. You know, I heard. Seriously, we got Canadian cheese. It's got the maple leaf stamped right on it. Made in Canadian cheese, made on the moon. Martians are making it and they're selling it to Uranus. I heard this. Got to be true because I heard it. And I'm Canadian. Quit hearing and start researching. Quit listening to things and start referencing. You know, start really doing some investigation. Go on my site. Look at the nanotoxicology in silver. Look at the silver. Silver flushes out bacteria. Contrary to what they told you, it doesn't affect good bacteria. That's a lot of horse hockey. Total horse hockey. Sublingual. Oh my gosh. Like I said, bud, go do some homework. Sublingual has nothing to do with anything. Everything that you're processing in your body is done in your gut. Everything. And if you want things to work better, you either add bacteria to it, put it in a bacteria and let it ferment, or, again, you take it accordingly. Silver is one of those things that you take and gets through, contrary to what they've been telling you. You got to remember, these bozos out there are selling you all kinds of stuff. They'll show you all kinds of pictures, and it doesn't mean anything unless you understand how to read their information. He's thinking about sublingualing the silver, Starfire. So again, this industry is a whore. I'm going to tell you that straight out. It's a whore. It'll take your money and screw you at the same time. That's what it does. So you got to be careful what you're doing. Yep. So when we're looking at things, pay attention. Pay attention to the reality we are in today. The sky is literally falling on us with chemtrails and chem dust and nanodust and nanobiology, synthetic biology. We may have radiation leaking through the ionosphere because of the damage was done by the HAARP frequencies. You know, we got fish dying in the oceans as a result of, again, the harping of the oceans by dumping iron oxide into the ocean to make it appear that it is a radioactive material when it's really a frequency causing quenching the oxygen out of the water, killing the lifeline that's there, or the life forces that are there. Your chimney stacks and smokestacks are exuding nanoparticles. They're spraying nanoparticles. They're trying to get you to use carbon C60 and hydrogens and all these other nano silver products because they are trying to create in you or of you things that they need in the nano world. Let me explain this just so you have an idea. All right, artificial mother of pearl created using bacteria. Now, when you read this article, they're creating a mother of pearl. Okay, and they're using calcium carbonate, using uric acid, and using a bacteria. Now, why did I bring this up? Because this is all it takes for things to be manufactured in your body. The right amount of acid, the right amount of alkali, the right amount of material, and the right amount of bacteria can form and create in your systems things like this. Your body can synthesize these kind of things. And by adding nano constructs, nanomaterials, quantum dots, quantum bots, dendromeres, lattices, origami. What's this guy talking about? Lattices and origami and bots and dendromeres and quantum dots and fullerenes and carbon fullerenes and C60. What's he talking about? What does he mean? I mean, these are the things they're putting in your food supply. They put into your systems. They're giving you to take. They're trying to sell you in the health food store. They get inside and they react with your biology or your biochemistry. And then they assemble to become whatever constructs are being formed. They integrate with your genetic code, your DNA, your chromosome code, your mitochondria, your ATP, your cells, your organs, skeletal structure, your network, and then they start to take over. They start to build. They start to build networks. They start to build subsystems and stations where they can communicate. We call those implants. That's what those are, stations of data that they can now transfer across the body because they have a network connected. So this can all be done by putting into the body specific things, using the body's bacteria, the biofilm, which is what goes on, to create an assembly and networking that can now attach itself to any part of your body and grow. And your body will feed it the protein or the biofilm to create the polymer bonds that's required to assemble the network that it's doing based on the program it's been given. This is why none of those devices today will work, because there's thousands of them networking at the same time, all modulating at different frequencies. That's what you're up against. So again, keep that in mind. Like I said, when you're buying stuff, when you're reading stuff today, it has to correlate to what we're being exposed to environmentally. You got to start paying attention to what's up in that sky comes down in 24 hours. If you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, guess what? You've just been selected. Matter of weeks, you'll have breakouts and lesions, pain, tons of pain. It'll hurt to walk, it'll hurt to sit, it'll hurt to move your arms, it'll hurt to sleep, it'll hurt to be awake. Face will break out with all kinds of nano. So, we are like I said, we're looking and paying attention to the things going on today, because we are no longer in the realm of yesterday, and yesterday was the realm of bigger deceit, bigger deceptions, and they took over our parents and grandparents and turned them into mindless slaves, wore them down so they couldn't fight. Okay, this link here, there's a link there called the Journal of Neuroengineering in the chat room. This is talking about interfacing technology with biology by including networks, neural networks that would connect to different prostheses that they can now attach to the body, and it becomes one with the body. Again, this is where we're at today. Further creating the integration that they want to integrate with man and machine. You notice when they use certain terminologies, it's always man and machine, man and this, man and that, but when it's using other terminology, it's human, human, human. We got two species here, man and human. Which one are you? Some say, well, it's both. Not both. They're two different entities, completely different. Time for you to do some investigation. Time for you to pay attention. But anyway, these prostheses now are going to be directly networked into the body. Now I'm going to read this. Engineers tap DNA to create lifelike machines. Gwen Scott called them a pseudo-life form. Was the first one to use the terminology synthetic life. She had a handler that went so far up her backside he could count the cornflakes she had for breakfast to shut her down. I have used the term synthetic biology. So has Brian. Because that's what we're dealing with. Now they're giving you this article. Now if you read this article correctly, they're going to tell you that they're just now getting started with it. By the time they publish these articles, they're already 10 years into it. Whatever science documentation you're reading today, chances are it's between 3 and 10 years old already. In other words, they've already enacted and have got this thing going, and it's probably in the general population as we speak. Basically, what they talk about here, they're using a term called DASH, DNA-based assembly and synthesis of hierarchical materials. Basically, they're using the nano, and the way they're programming it with cells and things, it's integrating with the DNA. This is basically verifying everything we've been telling you for the last 8 years. Okay, and they're functioning just like normal cells. They're growing. They're breaking down. They're either being renewed or removed. And new ones are being replaced by the self-assembly. They're assembling these things inside of us. You take out 100, 200 come back. Until you get it to a point where they can't assemble like they used to. When you slow down the assembly process, that's when you get on top. But this will tell you all kinds of things. Basically it's called Engineers Tap DNA to Create Lifelike Machines. This is a necessary read so you understand where we're at today and what you need to do to defend against this type of technology. Because this will not stop here. It's already incorporated in some of the military hardware with those super soldier suits that they're wearing. It's already incorporated in some of the weaponry and some of the aeronautics that are up in the air, the airplanes and things. It's already being, utilized. But we don't get to see that part of it. We just get to see the part that, oh, it's something brand spanking new. If they're telling you it's brand spanking new, it's already probably been out there for at least 10 years. So when you read these articles, keep in mind and how you're reading them. Okay, I've set out there a trailer. I didn't really watch it yet, but this was connected to the article I talked about. Dumping dead bodies into the soil. This seems like it's talking about the mass pollution of the soil in, they're saying America. This is in Canada too. I've been saying for the longest time, if the genetic engineered material, which is probably nanobiology, travels 40 miles a day, has been going on since the 70s, and it travels 40 miles north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and you do the math, of it, 40 miles a day, 280 miles a week, 560 miles every 2 weeks, 1,120 miles every 30 days or every month. And you go across, 12 months, you're looking at almost 40,000 miles in every direction since 1975 or before. So like I said, this might be not a bad thing to look at. Again, check it out. It's called biosludge.com. Again, this will give you an idea of what is happening in regard to, the Earth itself and how it's being killed. It's not just being hit, it's being killed. We are, the Earth is being killed by this tech. Tech from above, the chemtrails from above, the spraying on the ground, and all the genetic material they've dumped over the last. That's what I'm saying. You gotta be aware of your environment. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Where'd you get it from? Where do you live? What do you do for a living? Where do you go to work? What precautions have they given you as a safety feature on your job? You know what I mean? So understand that, these are the realities, and again, it's coming to a crunch. Like I said, people are prepping and they're building their own aquaponics, hydroponics, greenhouses. Again, we may want to take a look at these things. The food supply is going to become more poisoned as time goes on. End of story. And every time I'm turning around and reading something, there's something new they're putting in there pretty soon. They're talking about eating aborted babies. They're talking about composting humans. What part of the DNA that will grow from those plants will have attached itself to the composition or decomposition of the person they buried them in, since they're no longer being buried in a casket? So what is breaking down? What is being absorbed? What are you consuming? So that's the point to be focused on. Another point to be focused on is the Micro-Effect Broadcasting Network. Check them out. Help them out any way you can. Give them your support. Give them any kind of help you can. After all, they are an activist network. We also have, where you go, www.minds.com, Brian396. You got Aramak at YouTube. You got Smooth Love True at YouTube. You've got augmentinforce.com as well. Check out the sites. Get educated. Get advanced. Become more, not only knowledgeable, but more active. Come up with ideas that you can build to help the fight against what's going on. Augmentinforce.com. You got a catalog link. You got all kinds of things in the catalog. Feel free to access. You've got links on there for everybody to feel free to download and store the information. You never know when it might come in handy. Put them on disk. Put them on smart drives. Put them on smart drives. Shield your smart drive. Alrighty. Again, we are looking at things today that we need to look at, that we are not seeing the way we should. It's one of those things today that they have gone full on gung-ho to cause problems. Okay, so now that was just on the genetics and exposure of the food supply. What about the frequencies you're getting hit with? What are the frequencies damaging? How are you recovering? What are you taking to block the frequencies? You know what I mean? So when you're talking about, I'm taking this, I'm taking that, are you taking into the fact, the equation, they might be depleted because you're being exposed to these type of frequencies, which may be breaking down the DNA strands? So what are you doing to shield yourself in your homes to block that from happening? How are you shielding your homes? What materials are you using? What grounds are you putting out there? See, this is the questions that you need to ask. How do I defend against these things? I don't want to treat the disease. I want to have a cure. I want a solution to end the problem we're having. Nobody's getting cured these days from the medical field. As a result, people are suffering unnecessarily. Since the medical field designed the drugs, designed all the things, they have you keep coming back to get reloaded and saturated with their medications. How many of you been on statin drugs for more than a week or two? What's that doing to you? What's that doing to your genetic code? What does that do? What is that doing to your blood vessels? What is that doing to your heart? What's that doing to your mitochondria? Ever ask those questions? You know what those body parts are. If not, go look them up. And then start applying the research accordingly. So when we're looking at what's going on, what's happening, we got a lot going on. So like I said, if you're buying supplements or you're taking any kind of aid or ergonomic aid, see how that applies to what you're being exposed to. You know, like I said, this is all about, again, disorientation. With all these frequencies we're being hit with, you can see with the one thing, the www.oscillogatorum.com has pictures of all these different things that can happen, does happen with the exposure of these frequencies. And how they can cause major damage to your system, major damage to your DNA. Like I said, don't just read some magical, mystical, pill-popping idea. Start looking around you. Start thinking, how do I stop a chemtrail from causing me respiratory issues? How do I stop chemtrails from causing me bodily issues, pain issues, fatigue issues, visual issues, endocrine issues, reproductive issues? How do I stop this machine from creating an anomaly in my body where I cannot function the way I'm supposed to? Someone's saying there must be some tech out there that can neutralize frequencies. You know how many frequencies you're getting hit with? Do you have any idea how many frequencies you're getting hit with? Over 1,000 a day if you're in North America. You would have to wear a bubble. You would have to wear shielding made out of copper, iron, and aluminum, or lead. We used to have lead. They took it away. Why did they take it away? Because they knew the frequencies would cause problems. So there are things you can build to distort the frequencies so they don't have an effect. But you are getting hit from above, from below, side to side, up front and back. This is why, like I said, you have to start thinking when it comes to what you're buying for supplementation, so you don't buy something that's going to make those frequencies more pronounced and more active, because that's what can happen. So again, think about what's going on. Think about what's happening. We are not living in the world that we once lived in. Everything has changed, everything is advanced, and everything has been weaponized. What we can change is what we learn to change. That's what I'm going to leave you guys off with. I'm surprised we haven't had the music going. But yeah, that's what we're going to, that's how I got to leave it with you. You can only make a change of what you've learned to make a change. All right, we'll see you next week. Till then, investigate and share. See ya.